welcome back to an episode of Hoops and Football. I am Shannon. Alright, so I'm doing a more of a new trade scenario. Now I haven't heard it from the news. I've just heard a couple of rumours, seen a couple of comments, and I thought that a new target for Richmond we could go for is a good idea. And it's good because the player that I'm thinking of he's 26. I know a lot of people are going to say that's too old. You want someone a bit younger, but I like it. It's that middle age that a lot of people outside the club have been saying. Do we need to bring in somebody who's under 27, but not older than 24? They've got over 100 games of experience. They can play multiple roles, so like half forward and a midfield role. Do they bring speed, or what do they bring? So I've gone with a player that I've heard about. Not sure if it's 100% true, but it's someone I wouldn't be against the club, at least asking the question of the club. So the player, if you've seen the thumbnail, you can see that it is a Sydney Swans player. Now, I don't know if Richmond have great trade history. I know some people say that doesn't matter, but it does to a lot of clubs. Some people don't like trading with certain clubs and helping that club out. But it could be like that. So I've gone with Oliver Florent from the Sydney Swans. So Oliver Florent is 26. He's played 179 games, and that also means he's also played in a premiership, a lot of finals appearance. So he's played a lot of high quality football. He is a half forward / midfield. As if you guys have ever watched some of his games or watched Sydney games, you know that he's a really well inside contested player, but he also has a lot of speed on the outside. And as we all know, Richmond really need that in the midfield. So my theory would be that Dion Prestia would hang up the boots at the end of the year. Then Richmond would go and offer a forward. Now the forward that I've picked, I know we just re-signed him, Liam Fawcett. But I've gone with Liam only because I think the other forwards we have in Jonty Fall, Tom Sims, Harry Armstrong, the three we just drafted, I think they show a higher potential for us as a club. We know Sims can play ruck, so that's why I don't want to get rid of that. Harry Armstrong to me is that pure key goal square forward. He marks it, great kick. Jonty Fall to me is that centre half forward that runs up and down the ground, that prime Lynch sort of time. So I thought you'd offer up Liam Fawcett, and maybe you offer up a first round pick for this year. So it would probably secure, to me, it would probably make the Swans a bit happier. They're a bit down and dark. They don't have a real key tool. So you're giving them a key tool, but then you're giving them a draft asset. Everyone's saying this year's draft is compromised. So is it really the end of the world if we give up a pick 3 or 4? It depends on how North goes. If it push it down to pick 5, do you give up pick 5 to help facilitate Oliver Florent, get a couple of late picks back as well to help with the Callaway? But at least then Richmond is going, okay, cool, we're not going to have this giant drop-off where Prestia goes, Lynch goes, Broad goes, Nick Flostone goes, and all your only senior, and Toby Dankervis goes, and then the only real senior players you're going to have left over are Tim Trento and Jacob Hopper. And then at least you're bringing in someone who's played right now, as we sit right now on the computer. I've got my other computer here. It's telling me he's played 179 games right now, and he's 26. So you could still sign him up to another, 6-year deal, 5-6 year deal. I don't know, $850,000 a year. So I don't know if he's still contracted, but I definitely think he would bring in what we need as a club going forward. And you could sell it on him, Florent, to see that, well, you can be here for the future. You'll be in your third, you might be in your really early 30s, but you're still in your prime, helping us push towards it. But he just brings to me that speed that we don't have right now. He can go forward, so he's not just a kind of how it seems to me how we're playing Tim Turner and Jacob Hopper, where they're just midfielders and that's all they can do. I think you need to have if we're going to bring somebody in, I want to bring somebody in who's versatile. Someone who can go forward, so he can kick goals. So what Sam Lawler can do. Like, we know who Lawler can play midfield, but we know he can go forward and he kicks goals. Imagine having those two as a swap and switch. Boom, you bring the power and burst in, and then you bring Florent comes into the midfield, and you're bringing in that speed and contested beast. So I think he'd be a cheaper option than a Butters or a Tim Taranto. So not Tim Taranto, a Harley Reid. I think he'd be a cheaper option, and I think maybe it might be the right option, considering he brings in 179 games of experience, plus played finals, plus played in a grand final. So you're also bringing in a leader as well. So it's just a. I know no one's reported it, but it's something I think the club should at least ask the question. Do you just knock on the door and say, "Hey, Swans, if we give you a young key forward, an early first round pick for this year's draft, can we make a deal here where we get Oliver, Florent, and you give us a couple of, a third and fourth round pick, which then allows them to build on their father and son." That's just my little one that I saw pop up a few times, and I thought, let's make a video about it. Why not? Because it's a very good name and a very good player that I would definitely would be happy to have at the Richmond Football Club, considering he is actually a Victorian boy as well. So you're bringing him home as well, so you're giving him the go home factor, and he gets to come and play for Richmond. So you're also selling him on the whole big club. You round one, you're going to play in front of 80,000 people. So he doesn't get that very often when you're playing for the Sydney Swans. That's it, guys, for this episode. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Help me hit 500 subscribers. Thank you all for watching my stuff. And don't forget, go Tigers and stay safe.